YouTube land. Here I am again. Starting to feel a little bit better. But now the weather's turned off cold, and so that prevents me from doing any more work out in the shop on this jazz guitar build I'm doing. This kit guitar. So I got this wild thing in my brain to try and do some pre-wiring. Get all my tidbits out here. Oops, that I got it all here somewhere. Got that. These are the pots that I'll be using right here. These are CTS pots. They're 500K. Looks like I'm missing something here. Oh, there it is. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you my parts, and then we'll start putting this all together. Pre-wire this all up. This is a three-way switch I got off Amazon. Again, I'm going to try to show this stuff on camera. It comes pre-wired. It also comes with the labels on it, tell you which wire goes where. There we go. Brett, neck, bridge. Sorry, I washed my mouth out. Can't do anything with it. And jack. And it's a three-way Les Paul style switch. SG, whatever guitar they put them on. Then I also have some 033 caps, orange drops that I use. I use 033s, been using 033s for a lot of years. And I used to buy all this stuff from a guy on eBay years ago. He's the one that got me started. He sells a lot of tone capacitors and all kinds of stuff for electronics wise for your guitars. I don't know if he's still on there or not. I had to get rid of my eBay account because I had a stalker, and he was causing me problems on eBay, so I just got rid of my account. Now I'm on Amazon, and I buy everything off Amazon. So that's where these came from, is from Amazon. And but anyway, he was a really cool guy when I was first starting out. He sent me a set of 033s just to try out, and for free, because I had been buying stuff from him for quite some time by that time. So I tried them out, liked them. I've stuck with them ever since. I can't even remember how many years ago that was. It's probably at least 15 or 16 years ago I started using 033s. And but what I noticed now, the other day, I got to thinking about it, and I have to find another. Oh, I think I put them in the drawer up here. When I wired up, remember the other video I showed you how I soldered this up? Well, I may have to do another one because my switch comes with all the wires for that. So this, like I said, this goes to the jack right here, your input-output jack, this wire right here. So I don't see the need of doing that one. So I got to find my other input-output jack that I bought, Switchcrafts, and just wire this into another thing, and I'll just keep this one for another build someday. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and open this package up. It has the potentiometers in it. Pots for short. Now what's cool about these pots, these are from Tone Shaper off of Amazon. And what's nice about them, they come with these collars. So like if you have the screw-on knobs, you know, where the knobs that screw down, you put these collars on and you'll eliminate accidentally hitting that split. Where's it at? That split that's in the in those pots. So what I've done, I made this jig up a long time ago. I don't know if it'll come out on camera or not, but I marked them: neck bridge, neck neck tone, and bridge tone. And if you look, it follows my pattern of my guitar down here. So that will be nice. So now I can see, I know I have plenty of wire here. Always good to check that, huh? Yeah, that'll fit. Because all that wire's got to come down here to your knobs, your pots. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pre-screw these onto this template here. So I hope you all are having a good day today. I've had a pretty rough week this past week. I'm not going to go into details about it, but I want to thank all of you that's had me in your prayers and your thoughts, and being kind and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there. Hopefully it'll go in there. Yeah, it'll go in there. A lot of times these come with the two nuts on here. You have to sling that all the way down to nothing there. You don't need to have all the washers on there, just because all you're doing is wire up. Once you go to permanently put it in the guitar, that's a different story. So we're going to screw them on there. Once I get these in place, I'll bring you in up close so you can see how I'm soldering the stuff up. Boy, somebody stuck that one on there. And all this template's for is just to help hold things in place for you so you're not chasing it all over the place, especially because I'm going to be doing multiple soldering spots on here. I've already got the soldering iron heated up, ready to go over there. Got my little sponge dampened with some water so I can clean the tip as I go. And again, we've been talking a lot on Ted Talks Guitars and Life, and a couple of other guys on there. We've been talking about kit guitars and inexpensive guitars. I'm not going to call them cheap guitars because back in my day, we could get away with calling them cheap guitars because they were. I mean, how many of you remember them old Teisco guitars? Teisco. There's a store back in California. It was called ABC Store that we used to go visit quite often because they had a whole line of the Teisco guitars, and most of them were around $35. And that's what we played back in the day. That's all we could afford. And at that, we had to save up our allowance. Coke bottles, remember that? Remember how my wife and I, when we first married in Dayton, we used to snag everybody's Coke bottles and go cash them in because in California, we'd get 10 cents a bottle. And that's how her and I used to go to the movies. And fun times, a lot of you guys missed out on all that. And we had a lot of good times, my wife and I. But right now I'm just getting that mounting ring out for the switch because I don't want to have to look for it later on. What was nice about this switch, it comes with 3 colored tips. It comes with this cream one that's on here. It comes with a black one, and it comes with a white one. That was pretty neat. And a guitar pick. So anyway, now we have that. I'm going to set the rest of this aside. Flip this over. Let me readjust here. All right, what I do is I like all my pots and stuff to be pointing at each other. So we're going to turn them like so. All right, so here we go. I'm going to pull these capacitors out. Again, these are the 33 capacitors. I like them because I call them in the middle of the road. They're not old 47s, they're not old 22s. So they're right in the middle of all that. I have a long ways to go with this thing, and I hope you all stick around for it all. What we'll do once the weather warms back up out here, we'll get this thing in primer and paint, get it all cleaned up, and I'll take you through the steps on what it takes to wire this up and how you wire it up, how you get the wires in through all these holes and stuff. It's really not as hard as some people have to try to make it out to be. Really isn't. And I'll show you how I do that. It's not that hard to do. There we go. Put you back up here. So now we have our input-output jack there. Like I said, I also marked it on the back so I don't forget which is which. And this is your neck volume, your bridge volume, and then your tones. There's a couple ways you can wire this up. A lot of people take and stick that in that center one right there and then just fold this one over and ground it off to the pot. What I like to do, because you got to ground off your first leg on your pot for your volume side. So you can bend that over, see if it reaches. Now, not all pots will reach, so be aware of that. Some of them do, some of them don't. It doesn't matter if they do or don't. But usually, if they do, then you can take and solder that down if you want. But anyway, you can bend these over until they touch that pot like that. You can solder that down. But what I like to do is I like to make a bend in about in that position there. Bring this on through the center leg of the tone. And again, this is my preference. You don't have to do it like I do it, but this is how I do it. And that's what I'm going to show you is how I do things. Now this one here, let's pull that back out. We're going to shove that through that hole. Let's go ahead and unbend that a little bit. Shove that on through the hole because this is going to get grounded to the volume. Just about like that. Now we're going to take my soldering iron. Give me a little bit of solder here. What I'm going to do is solder that right on her. Solder that right there and put some on the pot itself. Just that quick and easy. Now we'll remove all the excess wire. Now usually as a rule, I don't always get to, but I like to, here we go. What I like to do is expose the numbers. That way if somebody ever tears into a guitar at some point, they can just look at it and say, oh, that's what he used on there. So we're going to solder that. Solder this one, just like I did the other one. There we go. Snippy, snippy. And that should be pretty good for that. So now I got that wired up. This will join, a wire comes from here to here, from here to here, and then your hot wire from your switch or input output jack will come here in the center there. So I have all this pushback wire that I'm saving to use. So let's look at our three-way switch here. This one says neck on it. So you have one of two ways you can do this. If you want your traditional Les Paul wiring, you wire everything, you put your pickups and all that on your outside pole here. If you want independent, total independent volume on your pickups, then you wire your pickups in the center one and put your hot out here. And that'll switch things around so that, like on Les Paul, you know how your volume and tone will cancel one or the other out sometimes? Well, this will keep that from doing that if you wire it up the other way. But anyway, since this has got pushback wire in it, we're going to push that back. Sorry if it's off camera, I can't see where I'm at here. All right, I'm going to push this wire back for right now. Now this wire also pushes back, as you can tell, it's already been what they call pre-tinned. I'm not calling it pretending. It's TIN. And what it is, it means that where are we at here? Oh, there we go. Here we go. Here we go. This wire right here, it's already got solder on it from the factory. So anyway, you want to put that through. This goes to the center. Because what happens is your switch feeds the hot. So this goes to your center like that. Same thing. Solder that on. Give it a little tug, make sure you got it on there good. So we have the switch fairly much wired up right now. These are going to get grounded to each other, probably off of one of these pots right here. But not right at this moment. So now we're going to do the switch, the jack. So again, now the jack, this outside braid will have to become part of the jack. So what you can do is you have to unbraid your braid. Again, not always easy to do. I usually will use the back side of my X-Acto knife and see if I can't get that to unbraid. You need to unbraid it just enough to use as a ground. There we go. But in wiring, you always want to try and use the best wire you can get. Don't use this cheap plastic stuff. See this stuff here? I don't know where this wire came from, but it's real super thin, almost like hair. And usually I have problems with a lot of static and stuff from that wire. But since I've been using this pushback wire, I don't get all the noise and stuff like some of you do on your guitars. I found too that on cheap pickups versus expensive pickups, a lot of your cheap pickups, they're not usually wax potted, and they use the cheapest wires that they can find. And so the shielding's not quite right on them and stuff like that. I found since I've been using this pushback wire, and it's just a better quality wire, and I don't have near the problems I used to have when I first started. When I first started, I fell into that trap. Oh, it's got to be shielded. It's got to be shielded. It's got to be shielded. No, I don't. I have a lot of guitars here that don't have shielding on them, and they're just as quiet as the ones. In fact, they're quieter than the ones that do have shielding. How did that happen? So again, I like to come in from the back side of these things. Come in there like that. Let's see, I lost my other pliers. I don't know what I did with them. Thought they were sitting right here too. Oh, there they are. Right in front of my face. No wonder I couldn't find them. So anyway, I'm going to clip that right on there like that, and that'll help hold that wire in place for me so I can solder that. So we're going to solder that on there. Soldering is just like anything else. So you say, oh, I could never solder. Yes, you can. It's the same thing, though. I always suggest if you've never soldered before, find some old pots or something laying around, and I'm sure many of you do have them. And see, we need more of that wire. And practice, and you'll find out it's not all that hard to do. Main thing you got to learn, this is for everybody out there, is not to let your whatever you're soldering, don't let that iron sit on there too long. If you find that you're sitting on there too long for something to solder up, then you're not doing something right. And especially on pots. If you're having to really ride on that pot to get something hot enough for it to solder, then either your soldering iron's not hot enough, you're using the wrong solder, or the item you're trying to solder to is not clean. Just like that. Now we'll cut off some of that excess off of there. like that. Make sure everything's copacetic. Bend this way out of the way of the jack. Sometimes, since I got room in this guitar, I can bend these out a little bit. So they're not so straight up and down. There we go. So now we got the jack wired up, three-way switch is wired up to the pots. Looks like I got plenty of wire for it to go anywhere I want it to. Double checking, yeah, got plenty of wire for that. So now we need to connect. Let's see what, got a little piece of white wire here. This will work. So we need to go from the pot to the tone pot to the volume pot. So we're just going to start there. We'll push this back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut this, slide that in place, but I'm not going to solder it on yet because I got to solder the pickup into that position. And I can't solder the pickups on until I get the pickups installed. I mean, just like that. So now this will sit and rest until we're ready to put that all in the into the guitar. But I just wanted to do this real quick today. Not that it was. Start putting my stuff away so I don't lose it this time. So anyway, there's my lesson for wiring, soldering 101. I just do this stuff out of fun. I hope you all learned something from all my antics online. But again, I appreciate you all hanging out with me. Thank you for all your prayers and your thoughts and all your awesome comments I've been getting and encouragement and all that. But I appreciate you all, and I'll be talking at you. All right now, bye.